In the beginning, it was just God, and God is infinite equality, represented by the flower of life, the flower of life with no edges. God wanted to know itself, but to know something is to limit it. So when God said, "Who am I?" God limited itself and created a reduced copy of itself, which is the sphere or the circle, because everything within the sphere is equal, just like everything within God is equal. So these spheres then come together to create everything we see in the universe. This is how everything is created. This is why everything is made in the image of God, because everything is a reduced copy of God. You, me, everything you see is a reduced copy of God. And the real secret is that everything is God. And this is validated by actual science, because everything is the same substance transforming into other substances. Everything is the same substance, and that original substance is God. And God transforms into everything through copy and paste reduction. Basically, we're making reduced copies of itself with the purpose of trying to know itself, right? God's in this tricky paradox where it wants to know the unknowable, right? Because infinity is unknowable, but it wants to know the unknowable. And the way it knows the unknowable is by breaking it down into pieces, into reduced copies, which is me, you, and everything you see. And the purpose of life is basically to know yourself. Any creature, anything that's alive, even things that you think aren't alive, which are actually alive, the purpose of everything is to know thyself. And through knowing thyself, God gets a greater understanding of itself. And through infinite creation, God understands the infinity. God understands what it truly is. And basically, authenticity is most important. The most important thing in life is to be authentic, right? To be who God made you to be, because being who God made you to be fulfills your purpose. Your only purpose is for God to know itself. And God knows itself through you, because ultimately you are God. Everything is God. Everything is God looking back at itself, reflections of itself, studying itself, trying to figure out, what the hell am I? How the hell do I have no beginning and end, right? You have a beginning and end because you've been reduced. You're a reduced version of God. And God's watching you like, you have a beginning and end. And by watching you, which is a reduced copy of itself, it gets a greater understanding of itself, because God's asking the same questions you're asking. Like, how the hell does God have no beginning? Who created God? God's asking these same questions that you're asking. And God is curious. And the point of everything is to know thyself, to gain more knowledge. And this knowledge is is pertaining to God, because everything is God. See, everything is a series of transformations. And the fruit that is gained from transformation is knowledge, info, entropy. And science is called entropy, right? Science says nothing can be created or destroyed, only transformed into something else, right? So this is why chasing materialism is a trap, because it's not about materials, because the materials is an extension of you, right? There is no thing. There's only you and knowledge. That's it. You and knowledge. Everything else is a transformed version of you, right? And the net gain of all these transformations isn't more material, because of the law of conservation prevents that, right? No material can be gained. Nothing that's tangible can be gained. Only the untangible can be gained. The untangible is feelings, experience, and knowledge. Entropy always grows, which basically means information always grows. Information is always becoming more and more and more and more, right? And reality is basically one gigantic mind, God's mind. And the prime substance, the creme de la creme, the prize of everything is information. Information transforms into everything else, right? You can't get more matter out of matter, but you could get more matter through gaining more information and transforming that information into matter, right? Information circumvents the law of conservation, right? It's important for you to understand this, right? Because when you understand this, you understand that, I have to be myself. I can't be what other people want me to be. I have to be unapologetically myself, right? Because if I don't be unapologetically myself, I won't fulfill my purpose of knowing myself, which helps God know itself, right? The worst thing you could do is to deny who you are, right? Is to not be who you are, because you're abandoning your mission. Your whole mission was to know yourself, study yourself, understand yourself, and be yourself, right? You fulfill your destiny by completely being who you are. That's how you fulfill your destiny, right? And through being completely who you are, you show you completely understand who you are. And when you completely understand who you are, boom, more knowledge pertaining to self is gained, right? It could be knowledge pertaining to other things, but ultimately it's all knowledge pertaining to self, because everything is one, everything is God, right? We're all one. We're all God trying to figure out what the fuck it is. God's like, what the fuck am I, right? And you're here to figure that out. You're here to help God figure that out, right? You're solving a piece of the puzzle that God is trying to solve, right? We're all solving this puzzle, and we all have our part to play. And you cannot play your part, you cannot fulfill your role, you cannot complete your destiny if you do not be unapologetically 100% yourself. Who you are, not who others tell you to be, who you genuinely are, right? And that could be against society's norms, and that could be against the norms of your community or race or whatever organization you're a part of, but you have to be who you are unapologetically. And to not be who you are is to betray God. That's the worst sin you could ever do, is to not be who you are, right? Right? So, moral of the story, the point of reality is for God to know itself. And God knows itself through you, because you are a reduced copy of God. This is why things reproduce. Everything is basically copy and paste. You have kids, your kids are a copy and paste version of you. Everything is copy and paste. And this copy and paste process starts with God asking the question, who am I? And by default, asking that question, God limited itself, because to know something is to limit it, because the infinite cannot be fully known, right? You are a reduced copy of infinite equality, right? This is why everything is created as spheres, particles, atoms, right? So be yourself 100%, and you will fulfill your destiny. Refuse to be yourself, and you will fail to fulfill your destiny, and you will betray God. You will betray your mission. You will not fulfill your destiny. Have a great day.